From Tradio Media, I'm Father Roderick, and this is the Daily Breakfast. Hi, and welcome back to a new episode of the Daily Breakfast. I'm Father Roderick, and today I want to talk about a document that just came out in the Vatican this morning. It is the Apostolic Exhortation Gaudete et Exsultate, which is Latin for rejoice and be glad. And it is a new document by Pope Francis, which is really, really cool. I definitely want to invite you to read it for yourself. There are summaries that you can find all over the web and on Facebook and other social media that will give you like a condensed version, like 5 talking points or something like that. But the advantage of this document is that it is so short that you can actually read it, and it is written in a very accessible language. That, of course, is one of the major qualities of Pope Francis, is that he is able to speak to almost anyone, and it's easy to read, and it's very applicable to your day-to-day life. So you can use this document as a personal guide. I would invite you to read it, perhaps not, well, I read it in 1 hour. It's just about 35, 36 pages, and then a whole lot of footnotes that you can, I think, skip. But it's also a document that once you've read it, you can reread it slowly over time and just take one chapter and reflect upon it and think how it applies to your life. I think that's how it's written. It's really like almost like a one-on-one personal spiritual guide for all of us, and it's been tremendously inspirational for me already at the first reading. Now, the only downside is that in order to read it, you have to have the text, of course, and you could order it online and get a written copy, but we live in the digital age, and so the first place where you have to look is on the website of the Vatican, because these documents are made available for free. And what I'm going to show you is not only how you can read it on the website of the Vatican and where to find it, but also how you can get the PDF file for free and how you can put that on your e-reader, on your Kindle or on your iPad or other digital device. And for that, I'm going to switch to another screen here. I'm going to show you the desktop that I have. And for those of you that are not listening to this, or not watching this or just listening to this, I'll describe what I'm showing the viewers. So on the screen, I have the main website of the Vatican, which, by the way, is always a bit hard to find. If you type in vatican.va, it gives you, it results in an error because they have this strange w2.vatican.va address. And if you just Google for Vatican, it may actually lead you to vatican.com, which is not owned by the Vatican, so don't go there. I'll include a link in the show notes on Tradio.com. But w2.vatican.va, this is the main page, and here it is plastered all over the main front page. And on the right side of the screen, you will actually see a little button that says Gaudete et Exsultate. That's the one you click, and that will bring you straight to the document. And actually, there are multiple languages available. This is also available in German, in Spanish, in French, Italian, Polish. I don't know what PT is, but anyway. You want to have the English version. And this is just a regular HTML web page that you can scroll through. It's one big page, so you can just read this on your screen if you want that. But then, of course, it's hard to read that in several sessions. So what you want to do is to go all the way to the top again, and then look for the little PDF icon on the right upper side of the screen. You click that, and it will bring you to a PDF file, which is really nicely formatted. It's got 2 colors, like a kind of dark brown for the titles and the logo of the Holy See. And then it will format the text in regular pages. Now, of course, this is already easier to read, especially if you go, for instance, to your iDevice, like an iPad. You could read this PDF straight from your browser on your iPad. But what I prefer to do is to get this to my Kindle application on the iPad. And you can do that by just simply selecting the document itself, and then in Windows or on the Mac, just save it as, and then you can give it a name. Now, that will just give you, or here if you go to, if you're reading this actually in a lot of web browsers, there will also be a menu. If you hover your cursor to the top of the screen, and it will have a little download button and a print button in the right-hand corner of the screen. So once you've downloaded this, then what you can also do is to upload this to your Kindle. And in order to show you what that looks like, I'm going to just switch back to the main screen again. And I have my iPad here, which has the Kindle app. And of course, now the lights in the studio are kind of making this hard to read on the video screen. But it will show you a really nice version of the PDF, and you can just use your finger to swipe between the pages. So this is already a really nice way to read it, very relaxing. However, it's still it works really well on an iPad because it's got a bigger screen. If you want to read this on your phone, then the PDF will be very, very hard to read because there is no, let's say, it doesn't reformat it for smaller devices. So what you want to do then is to create a specific Kindle version or a text version of the file. Now, unfortunately, the Vatican does not offer those versions. So you'll have to convert that for yourself. I suppose it's linked to, I don't know, copyright reasons or anything. However, it's totally legal to convert this for your personal use. And I can actually tell you that there is a website that will do that for you. So you can do this online. Let me switch back to the screen here and show you that particular website. So it's called PDF2, the number 2, Kindle.com. So it's PDF number 2, Kindle.com. And there is a button here that you can use to upload the file. So I'm just going to click that, and I'm going to scroll to the place where I've put the original PDF. Now, if you save the PDF, it will actually save it with an Italian name for some reason. I guess it's because the IT people are still very much based on Italian. But you select that PDF file, which will contain the English text. You click Open. And then it starts converting this really quickly. It's a small, I mean, it's a text file. And then it will create a downloadable version, which you can then click and save to, for instance, to your desktop. And what I do, so this is a Kindle version. It's an AZW3 format file. So I just give it another name because the original file is a little bit long. So I'll just remove the first part of the URL. So we have Gaudete et Exsultate. I'll click Save, and that will put it on my desktop. And if you have that saved to your desktop, then you can connect your Kindle to your computer and move the file on your computer to the directory, the documents directory of your Kindle. And if you don't know how to do that, then there are online explanations for that as well. And that will result in what I show to my viewers here on the camera. It's my Kindle Paperwhite, and it's got the entire text, but this time it's formatted in such a way that it is easily readable on a small screen. And actually this conversion is pretty good. It's very legible, and of course this has the added advantage that you can also make the font size smaller or bigger depending on your preference on the Kindle. So this is a fully Kindle compatible version of the Apostolic Exhortation. It will just take you 5 minutes to do that, and it makes for much easier reading than just on your computer screen. Now, back to the reading. I think this is a super useful exhortation. that will benefit you greatly if you read it. There are a few things that struck me straight away. It's a simple language. This is really easy to apply to your own life. It's got a lot of examples. It's one of the ways in which Pope Francis communicates. He likes to always enrich his explanations using day-to-day examples. And of course, those examples are picked from his own experience. But they're very helpful because they make the theory so much easier to understand. For instance, there are some paragraphs that talk about online behavior. How can you be... I totally forgot to tell you what this Apostolic Exhortation is all about. It's about the call to holiness. And instead of telling a very theological or spiritual story where it's, or giving you a very theoretical approach, basically what Pope Francis wants to explain is how holiness is a calling and it's a calling for all of us, and you can realize that in your life. And it's maybe holiness is something very different from what you may think of when you hear that word. And so that's why I encourage you to read it, because he makes it very, very easy to understand. So he gives a lot of examples. He also talks about online behavior, even about virtual reality in one paragraph, which was kind of interesting to see how much the Pope is aware of how of the world in which we live and in which we have to realize holiness. It's not just something that takes place, this call to holiness, in a world that is like in a monastery or something that's completely separate from your day-to-day life. No, he really tries to take our day-to-day life seriously and tells us, or guides us in that reality to find holiness. There's a beautiful, beautiful chapter about the Beatitudes and how that is kind of like a blueprint for a Christian, and how you can use the Beatitudes of Jesus to find ways to become holy and to sanctify your life. There's even a bit about this, why a sense of humor is so important, and why a sense of humor is often the result of your efforts to become a holier person. And there are lots of little things. There's also definitely some criticism in there of misbehavior that you see on social media and in our media in general. Just this very cynical, negative attitude, or where people will criticize without restraint other people and vilify them. These are things that Pope Francis himself is experiencing, and that a lot of us have experienced also in our endeavors on social media. And when you try to bear witness of the faith that's in you, then you will be ridiculed and people will attack you. But sometimes you become the perpetrator of such behavior. And so this little guide is, I think, a really good also can help you do an examination of conscience, to which extent am I engaging in behavior that will not help me to become a holier person and will not help other people to become holy. So hopefully this was useful. Now, stop watching and stop listening to this show and go download that text and read it. You can read it in an hour, reread it in the next couple of days, and I'm sure it will help you a lot. Thanks for watching. Thanks for going to Tridio.com. Thanks for listening as well if you're listening to this as a podcast, and I will talk to you soon. Take care, and God bless.